Hi all, Adi here from Hunts and Jaunts. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Today I'm exploring Tuxlith Chapel, which is just here behind me. It's looked after by a charity called the Friends of Friendless Churches. So if you want to make a donation to help keep this building up and running, then please do click on the link which I'll pop down in the bio, because this building was completely derelict and they've restored it and put a new roof on it, etc. So it's going to be around for many years more for us all to enjoy. What makes this place really extra unique, I think, is that it used to be the chapel and it then got replaced by this church in the 1800s. That became too small, so they built this church. So we'll go and have a look around. Tuxlith Chapel has been known by many different names over the years: the Chapel of Light, the Chapel of Tuxith, Milland Old Church and more. It was initially thought to date from the 16th century until ironstone, herringbone masonry and a block Norman window were found during restoration works in 1994. So this pushes the origin of the building back to the 11th or 12th century. And as I head down the stairs into this lovely porch, absolutely loved the handle of this. I want you to listen to something that's completely freaked me out. Let me know what you think, because I definitely heard a man laughing as I came in. So that might be my first paranormal capture on a video. And up here you can see where there would have been some, like a gallery with some pews in it. Still see the holes in the wall. The old columns, and that bit up there has still actually got a piece of wood in it. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up. There were some old pictures of the church and they had these really simple information boards, which I love, because sometimes I personally get overwhelmed if there's too much information and it just I can't read it, it's just too much. And this was just enough to be informative without overloading, but I know everyone has their own personal preferences on that. So anyway, the first evidence of the church is a will dated in 1532 when Isabel Colpes left Ilshep to the church of Tuxlith. I think that's how they say it. Anyway, that's Old English, by the way. Joannes Bailey was recorded as the rector in 1545, and the church survey of 1602 described it as deficit in healing. And if you want a bit more information there, you can pause it and have a look. And look at this old organ. I'm not sure if that is original from before it closed, but I loved that you can see the material here with the threads where it's all worn out. Beautiful. In 1610, a church warden was ordered to install a pulpit, and he was excommunicated until he had it done. So the woodwork of this surviving wine glass pulpit dates to the 18th century, and it was restored in 1993. So I thought I'd go up and have a look. This stairs in here was so narrow, and I had my Dr. Martin boots on, and it did make it really difficult. I don't think it really shows quite how narrow they were. I could only get half my foot on there, and I've got reasonably small feet. So I suppose that gave him a good view of the galleries and all the people sitting at the pews up at the top. And there's some remains from older parts of the building. Obviously before it had loads of restorations done over the many years that it's been here. The current altar was designed by Sir Hubert Bennett, and he's the former chief architect to the Greater London Council, and the altar was installed in 1998. There's also, at the back here, you'll see a piscina and a stone basin with drains, and these were used for washing communion vessels. They're medieval in date, probably from the 13th century. You can see the drain there that would have run outside. And there's a little mosquito there, keeping me company. And there's another wooden timber. And here at the back of the altar, you can see the commandment board showing the Creed and the Lord's Prayer to the Georgian period. So that would have been between 1714 and 1830. They're in quite good condition, I think. So this is like the L shape of the building, and it's a result of the addition of a north transept in 1835, along with a new gallery and a vestry. So you will see on the opposite wall here, when I pan around there in a minute, you'll see there's still some holes in the wall and a couple of pieces of wood where those galleries would have been. The church eventually closed in 1878 when it was deemed too small following a population boom, and this was due to the coming of the railways. It was used as a Sunday school until the 1930s, when that too closed and the building fell into disrepair. And there's some great pictures here, isn't there? So you can see the state the chapel was in 1990. And there's some more information there about how they reconstructed it. And on the right here, there's this fabulous photo. I think it looks quite eerie, actually. And that is the only surviving picture of the chapel ready for use. So after the 1930s, when it had closed and was no longer being used, the church quickly fell into disrepair. The windows were boarded up in the 1950s before being declared redundant in 1974. But some local people and the Friends of Friendless Churches now look after it with the help of the local Friends of Tuxlith Chapel. And those local friends are individuals such as Ivor Bulmer, Thomas and Desmond Langley, and they are remembered in an engraved window in the church. And there you can see where there's some old doorways and those holes that I was talking about where there would have been a gallery. Now you may wonder, was there a hidden crypt or an ossuary? I couldn't find anything. There's nothing documented to be beneath here, but there are some, I don't know if they're old gravestones or in memoriam stones. I couldn't find any details, so let's head back outside. Hope that ghost doesn't follow me now. And here, just to the left of the south porch, is some steps, which is obviously blocked off nowadays, but back in the day that would have led to the galleries within the church, which we saw when we went in on the left. You could still see a little bit of a wooden beam. It's unclear when they were removed, but the rat trap brickwork suggests a 19th century date. And they're just up ahead of me there. You can see the blocked Norman window. Can you just make it out there? And you can also see some ironstone herringbone masonry. So that wasn't discovered until 1994, which pushed back the origin of the building to the 11th or the 12th century. And as we take a walk around the churchyard, there's loads of really heavily weathered headstones. Most of them you can't read anymore, which is always sad, and there's loads of broken ones. And this would have been the newest addition that had been done to the building. This would have been the entrance into what they used up until the 1930s as the Sunday school. And there's that huge tree there. I've got no idea what species it is, but it's absolutely beautiful and looks really, really old. There were a couple of headstones that you could still read. So I think that was from 1900. And you can see some of the raised ones there. I mean, it does look really creepy in here, doesn't it? Look at that big tree as well in the background, and the headstones covered in ivy. And there's one over the back there, the cross, with all the moss on it. Definitely looks really spooky. So, I mean, it's easy to understand why you would think this place was haunted. Your imagination can run wild in places like this. And this was a terracotta cross. Thought that was really beautiful. Some lovely stonework there. And there's a couple of moss covered ones back there. Now I've done a bit of research because I have to say I'm a little bit chilled about hearing that laughing when at the beginning, and I can't find any confirmed records of hauntings or paranormal voices at Tuxlith Chapel in the archives. Of course, there's going to be local lore, and I'm sure there's tales of wandering spirits. There is in nearly every town, in every place all over the world. But I couldn't find anything that's actually been written down. So if you are local and you know anything, you know any stories, or if other people have had a man laugh at them like I did in the church, then please do let me know. I'd love to find out. And this was like an old beam that would have been part of the old galleries that I showed you on the inside, and then it's had this deep like channel guttering, whatever you call it. I'm sure there's a technical name for it, for drainage. Thank you so much for watching today's video from Tuxlith Chapel. I do hope you enjoyed it. Now I'm going to pop a link in the description if you want to make a donation. It's the Friends of Friendless Churches charity. It's a fantastic name, isn't it? So if you did enjoy it, please do like and subscribe, and if you do want to support the channel, there's also the Buy Me a Coffee link down below. But even if you just like, subscribe, share, hit the hype button, which doesn't cost anything, I'm really, really grateful for each and every one of you. So thanks again for watching. Bye for now.